What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American, here today to react and continue learning about why England is better than the US. Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, feel free to go check that out first, or stay here in Part 2. That's perfectly fine as well. But in Part 1, I went into this kind of skeptical, and after hearing some of the comparisons between how things are in England versus here in America, I have to admit, after part one, I've become a little bit convinced. Some of these are really, really good points. Some of the things that we talked about in part one included car maintenance in England, comedy, drinking culture, history, and how history is preserved and shared in England. And all of these topics so far, I have to admit, are really, really good points. Like, I couldn't really come up with anything to refute any of these claims. I think these are done better in England. England is 4 for 4 so far on these points, so I'm actually really interested to complete this video here today in part 2 and see if there are any more good arguments for why England could actually be better in some instances than the United States. I can't believe it, but I'm becoming convinced. So with that being said, let's take a look.
An emphasis on manners as a culture.
Etiquette? Manners? Oh gosh. Oh no. Yeah, okay. No. Okay, here's another one that I'm not even going to argue against this one. Yeah, I imagine so. But I have to say this is interesting cuz here in America, we actually have a stereotype of British culture and English culture that it's very fancy, very, I don't know, proper, and you have manners and respect and etiquette, and it's kind of sad that that's not something that we hold a little more highly here in America, but it is something that we literally think of about England and Britain. So this one makes sense to me. Uh, another one that another thing England is better at. Okay.
So, not just like individual manners and what an individual family or person's, moral compass thinks,
Okay.
but an imposition of manners in a general sense.
Right. Okay. Because I was curious what exactly we're talking about here. Like an individual can be rude or respectful. A person can have manners or not, or their personality can be different. But as a culture in America, we have some etiquette, some social norms, but I'm really curious, what is it actually like as far as etiquette in England? What is that actually like?
Saying you're sorry when you run into somebody, saying pleases and thank yous,
Mm-hmm.
holding the door for someone,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging that there's a line and not cutting it or not trying to think that, you deserve to go in front because you, of whatever your reasoning might be. That
Yeah.
kind of thought process of just being aware of people around you and aware of the sense of community and trying to keep the community together, I think is something
Yeah.
that England does so well. And I really love.
That's a really good way of putting it. When she said, being aware of people around you. That is where Americans really struggle. That's where we fall short. I think, compared to many cultures around the world, actually, certainly England included in that, here in America, people, I don't know, it's like we're taught a little bit more to worry about ourselves. Make sure you succeed, that you beat everyone, you're the winner. And that seems to extend into general etiquette as well, like making sure that, I don't know, you're not talking too loudly or playing your music loudly and affecting other people. It extends far beyond, like, into other aspects of life. This idea of just caring about yourself and your individual needs over the community. And I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. Not at all. To a certain extent, you have to worry about that, but also your society, like, kind of depends on everyone looking out for each other, or at least a baseline level of respect that I think England, by the sound of it, is doing much, much better, and I really like that, actually.
Love it. That's one of the things I love the most about living here. We're so individualistic in America, and we just only worry about ourselves. We're the
Yeah.
only people that have, we're the only person that has some place to be. We're the only person that's going through something, or stressed, or tired, or overworked,
Mm-hmm.
and underpaid, or not taken care of, or, I believe this, and therefore everyone else should have to
Huh.
cater their lifestyles to what I believe.
Yeah, yeah, very, very selfish thinking. I don't know. I can't even imagine. It must be amazing to live in a society that's a little more community oriented, or at least a little less obsessed with your own personal needs being more important than the group or community. Um, I would imagine that would be wonderful. I am curious what that is actually like. Life in England, really based off all these things we've talked about so far. It sounds lovely, actually.
Those are the kinds of things that you encounter a lot in America. I'm not saying it's not here in England. There are certain instances of that here in England, but
Sure.
overall, the culture is more about just making it a good place to live and making sure everybody has a good work-life balance and doing their
Hmm.
best to contribute to society as well as take care of yourself and the other people around you.
Yeah, this is interesting. And this woman is an American who's living in England. So I'm really like fascinated with these observations that she's having. I can really relate to them, I think. Okay, next thing that England does better than the US is the tax system. The tax system. Does this extend into like healthcare? I think that would be a big one. Cuz in Britain, isn't the healthcare system funded by taxes? I think, or I don't know. I'm just American. It's like our systems are so messed up here. Like I'm a little bit confused about it.
Taxes. The tax system in America is so complicated. You
Yeah,
get taxed at every single level of government, and there's a lot.
yeah.
And you are responsible for filing your own taxes, and then you get in trouble if you do your taxes wrong.
Is is that not how it's like in England? That's not what it's like. There's another way. You don't have to personally file your own taxes in England and desperately try to get everything correct and fill out 37 different forms and go get out your calculator, and you don't have to do that? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not a tax expert. I'm not even an accountant. I'm pretty good at math, but other than that, it's really, really hard. And there's so many loopholes, and there's so many things that you need
Yeah.
to worry about and think about. You can hire someone in America, but not a lot of people have that extra money, and it costs.
Yeah, yeah, like that's a whole career in America, being someone in finance or tax accounting, and you can hire them to do your taxes because it's so complicated. Seriously. I really hope she explains what it's like in England because I'm really curious what life could be like. What's the difference here?
Costs a couple $100s sometimes just to have someone look through your taxes.
Yeah.
You have to pay local taxes. You have to pay school taxes. You have to pay state taxes. You have to pay federal taxes.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
to mention the fact that you have to pay a sales tax when you go to a store. If you inherit money from someone,
I'm so confused. I almost don't believe it. Like, I don't know, maybe this is my American instincts kicking in, but it's like, are you telling me that this is not what it's like in England? With all these different taxes on everything and anything, and complicated tax codes and regulations, and doing your own taxes. That's not. What is it like in England?
who unfortunately dies, then you have to pay taxes on that money. If you win money at a casino or in a competition, you have to pay tax on that. So
Yeah.
everything is taxed, and it's handled. And each individual has to be aware of those laws,
Yeah.
understand those laws, and implement those laws to their personal, unique situation.
I thought this was just normal. I thought this is what life had to be like. Because we, Americans, we don't know it any other way. So this is kind of mind boggling to me.
And you are in strict penalty if you do something wrong.
Yeah.
Here in England, England revenue takes care of all of that. You get taxed on your salary, and you get told if you pay too much, you get a refund. If you don't pay enough, they send you a letter and you pay it.
It's taken care of. It's calculated automatically. You don't have to do anything. Someone tells you what taxes you owe. Oh my God. Oh Lord. That sounds wonderful. That sounds England. This is the one that broke me. This one right here. England sounds like paradise now. Everything else was like okay, like the comedy's better in England. The drinking age, the history, better manners. All right, fine. But when the taxes are easier in England. It's not a headache looming over you for the year. I had no idea. I had no idea life could be that way.
And the taxes are done.
What?
You don't have to file your taxes at the end of the year. You don't have extra sales tax that you have to pay when you go to the store. And when you inherit money or you win money, that's your money.
What?
That's it.
What?
I don't know it as well.
Wow. I think most Americans have no idea. I had no idea. I had no idea that life could be different. What? Taxes in England sound a whole lot better. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, obviously I've only been here a little while, but from my experience, it's much more simple. It's much easier to understand.
Okay.
And the onus of anything going wrong is on the England Revenue Service.
Wow.
It's not on the individual.
Wow. The England Revenue Service, they take care of all the calculation. Here in America, you have to do it and you get in trouble if you're wrong. It's, when I hear it like spelled out like this, it's kind of madness, isn't it?
And that is something that England definitely does miles above America.
Yeah. What?
Public transit.
Okay, wow. Gosh, let's keep going. I am being completely convinced. At least for these things. At least for these topics, England is doing stuff a lot better than here in America. What the heck? Next we have public transport. Okay. I can see this one being true because public transport is like non-existent in most of the United States outside of our big major cities. There's not much public transport. Like, you need to own a car. America is built with the idea that you have a car in mind. Like, that's how everything works. I've heard public transport is better in England. I'd like to hear more, though.
In America, I grew up in a suburb. I never had access to public transportation.
No.
Except for a school bus. If I had to go even take a train to go to New York or Philadelphia, I had to drive to the train station.
Yeah.
There's some towns that don't even have bus services and things like that. It's really, really difficult to get around if you don't drive in America. Whereas here, I still don't have a driver's license yet. And I have been able to get to and from work. I've been able to get to people's homes, do my shopping, and just get out of the house and do things without having to learn how to drive.
What? How? I don't understand. I don't understand how England works. Why is it so much better? The promised land. But seriously, is this true even if you live in a small English community? The smaller towns and communities, do those also have good public transportation? Because that's really where America fails. Like, if you're in a small town, or you aren't going to be able to like have a bus system that can get you everywhere you need to go. This sounds incredible. This would be so great for so many people who don't want to drive or can't afford to drive, or just good for the environment. You know, more people like ride sharing on a single bus or something. For lots of reasons, this is better.
And I actually really enjoy taking the train and the bus.
Huh. Yeah.
I take the train more because of the situation that I'm in, but I actually really enjoy not having to worry about it. It's a
Hmm.
bit intimidating for someone like me who's never really had to do it before, but once I got over that kind of hurdle of myself, my own personal intimidation with it,
Uh-huh.
it's actually really easy, and everyone is really helpful when you're not understanding where you're going or you might be in the wrong spot or something like that.
Wow. You can really just live your life in England without owning a car. Like actually, that's incredible. I've never even considered that as a possibility in America. It's total opposite.
For the most part, public transportation here, in my experience, has been phenomenal, and they definitely do it
Wow.
much better than America.
And when we do have public transport, like buses and stuff, they're not particularly nice. I have to be honest. They're not. There's not a lot of emphasis put on them or funding towards our public transport systems, even when they do exist. So yeah,
America can take some tips from England on that for sure.
yeah.
Food
Okay,
quality.
okay. I think that's the last point in the list here. My goodness, we are talking about food. Oh, the quality of food. Because I was going to say, I like our terrible food here in America. Our food that is terrible for you, because it's filled with all this crazy preservatives and sweeteners. And I've done other videos where I've learned about the difference between like what we put in our food here in America, and it's disturbing. Our portion sizes are huge. Our food is bad for you, not natural in any sense of the word. So it is good though. Like I guess I gotta say one thing is it tastes good. You're just gonna die from it, but you're gonna have a great time in the meantime, and probably get addicted to it. Yeah. So the quality of the food is better in England. I think this is true. I've literally heard this before.
Here in England, it's really just a national mandate, it's a national safety standard, and it's
Mm.
really, really good. Partially because they have the National Health Service, they can put regulations in about the levels of sugar, the levels of fat, the levels of
Mm.
chemicals
Mm-hmm.
that you can have in the processed food, as well as any food that you're creating or you're making in or selling in a restaurant or a pub or from your farm or anything.
Wow. So there's national standards in England. Here in America, I think we're so focused on businesses making money, making profits, selling as much product as possible that the standards pretty much go out the window. And I don't know. Like I'm aware of it, but it's really difficult to find foods that are okay to eat or not filled with all these nasty chemicals. So even if you're aware of it like me, it's difficult to even try to live your life in a healthy way in America, which is pretty sad, honestly.
Like that. I went through like sugar withdrawal for a while I was
Huh.
here in when I first got here to England. I couldn't find anything that I liked to eat. And it was because my body was
Wow.
so dependent on all of the chemicals and sugars that are pumped into American food.
Wow, I've never heard of that. Oh my god, that's scary. We're addicted. We are addicted to our food and all the sugar. So when Americans move to England, they find that they experience a form of withdrawal from the food. That's all you should need to hear to know that English food is much better for you than American food.
Now that I've gotten a lot of that out of my system, I can really appreciate the freshness, the taste, and the textures and stuff that comes through the food that is just so much more enjoyable. And
Really?
I really appreciate all of the food that I have now because it's a
I feel like I'm not even experiencing food from what she's saying. Like I'm missing out on this whole aspect of like what food actually tastes like or is supposed to taste like. I feel like I'm missing out.
about taste and subs and sustaining myself, and not so much about like feeding this sort of like addiction I didn't even know I really had.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, the food standards and quality is so much better here in England. And once you get used
Yeah.
to the fact that you're not going to have those sugary tastes and that kind of stuff, the food actually tastes really, really good here in
Oh.
comparison to America,
Wow.
except for pizza. America has its cornerstone on pizza. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. It's like all of that, and then it's like, but America has very good pizza.
They've cornered the market on pizza, and I can't find pizza but as good here. I definitely think England does better than
Okay.
America when it comes to food. There you go, guys.
Wow.
Those are the things that I think England does better than America does.
Wow. That was something. That was a trip right there. This video, part one and now part two, have really been eye-opening for me. Truly. Let me give credit here. This video was by the Hickson Diaries, and I gotta give her a like because that was a very well done video. She had so many great points, so many interesting insights to English culture and how it's different than American culture. Yeah, this was eye-opening. This was like almost disturbing. If you're me and living in America and you know like that's not really going to change, it's disturbing. Like England is doing all of these things better than America, and the information is right there. Like I just learned all about it, and so in theory, like America could learn about it, our government could learn these things, and as a society, we could get better if we just were more like England, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, and that is a little discouraging. But with that being said, I did enjoy learning about these things. My goodness, I think I'm a bit of a changed American, to be honest. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any reasons why you think England is better or does things better than America. That'd be very interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and UK culture and stuff in the UK that I've never seen or learned about, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.